Get ready to fall in love with this beef rib stew. Tender, juicy, and packed with flavor. We're gonna break down all the steps to make this killer dish. Follow along to see how this is made. Let's get started. First, grab all the ingredients from the fridge. Beef ribs, mushrooms, tomatoes, and carrots, and a small onion, and all the other ingredients. Start by taking the beef ribs and putting it into a bowl. Fill it with water and let it sit for at least an hour. It will be great if you can leave it for overnight. This helps remove excess blood from the ribs and also removes all the fine bits of bone. After soaking, place the ribs on a dry towel and soak up all the excess water. It's important to have the ribs as dry as possible. This gives it a good sear later on. Now we need to prepare the flour mix. Add flour, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 3 teaspoons of onion powder, 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, and 2 teaspoons of dried basil. Mix everything together. And now we could coat the ribs. We want to make sure that all the ribs are coated on each side. This helps improve texture and adds flavor to the ribs later. Chop the carrots into small pieces. You can rotate the carrot as you cut to make it easier. Roughly cut up the mushrooms and set it aside for later. Cut the onions in half, then in quarters. Lastly, cut the tomatoes into medium-sized pieces and set everything else aside. Now we're ready to work on the stew. Preheat a pot on a high heat. Then add 2 tablespoons of oil into the pot. Start searing beef on each side until golden brown. The sear will help develop a lot of flavor and create a good crust for additional texture in the stew. Once you have seared all the beef ribs, let them rest and set it aside for later. Now we need to start cooking the vegetable. Start with the onions and tomatoes. Add 2 teaspoons of sugar. This helps counter the acidity in the tomatoes and make the dish a little bit more balanced. Let the onions and tomato cook until soft. Then add the mushrooms. This is optional, of course. Once everything is soft and tender, add about a can of tomato paste into the pot. You can use less depending on the amount of beef ribs you have. Give everything a stir. Add the beef stock into the mix and let it slowly come up to temperature. Now add the carrots and all the beef ribs. Bring it to a boil. Once boiling, reduce the heat to low. This will need to braise for at least 2 hours to get the beef rib nice and tender. At this point, most of the work is done. You just need to stir once in a while to make sure that the bottom doesn't burn. After a while, your beef ribs should look like this, and the stock should become a little bit more of a creamier color. Just give it a little bit more time and your beef rib will be done soon. After a few hours, your beef rib should be nice, soft, and tender. You can serve it as it is, or you can have a little bit of carbs with it. Personally, I prefer rice. And with that, your beef rib stew is done. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Happy eatings!